Hello friends, it is another sunny but windy day in Galicia and my sister and I are headed towards the town of Ogrove, a seaside town located on a peninsula that is connected to the mainland by a big bank of sand. This was my first hometown where we lived with the family until I was 2 years old and my sister was old enough to start school in Finland. On old maps, Ogrove was an island. Today it is joined to the mainland thanks to the southwesterly winds, which have slowly gathered sand to form the isthmus of the beach of La Lanzada. It is high tide at the moment, but almost all the water that you can see here recedes when it's low tide. As well as shellfish gathering and shallow water fishing, the population lives from the farming of mussels, oysters and scallops on wooden platforms out in the water. I don't have any memories from the time we lived in Ogrove, but I have heard stories from my mother how we lived on the 4th floor without an elevator and how cold the flat was in the winter time. My parents took care of 3 kids, 2 of which were under the age of 3, so I can imagine everyday life was not easy. My sister Laura went to a Catholic preschool where she learned how to read and write at the tender age of 4. Next to Algarve is one of the most famous islands in Galicia, a small island called La Toja that is connected to the mainland by an 18th century bridge and known due to its vocation as a spa, leisure and tourism center. Until the 9th century it had no history other than being agricultural land where cattle occasionally grazed, and apparently it was a sick donkey that changed the course of the place. The legend speaks of a rancher who had a donkey suffering from all kinds of internal and external ailments. Instead of sacrificing the donkey directly, he decided to take him on a boat over to the island and left him there to peacefully live out his last days. The surprise came after a few weeks when the man returned and found the animal completely healthy and recovered. The island's groundwater and its mud had healed it. This is how the curative properties of the thermal springs were discovered and led to one of the first spas in Galicia. After the discovery of the medicinal waters and the thermal mud, from which the island takes its Galician name Toja, the island became privately owned to exploit its thermal advantages, building the old spa, which brought with it a spectacular increase in tourism and the birth of other facilities. Besides thermal baths, La Toja has 8 luxury hotels, a golf course, a marina, a congress center, the first casino in Spain, tennis courts, paddle courts, archery courts, swimming pools, housing estates, a shopping center, and an old soap and cosmetic factory. Around the beginning of the 1900s, personal hygiene had become a common habit and soap the star of the bathroom. In 1904, La Toja created its first soap prepared from the local mineral salts, vegetable oils and balsamic substances so that everyone could enjoy the thermal properties of this magical island in their homes. The Roaring Twenties gave way to the refinement of hygiene and cosmetics, and the use of perfumes, colognes, creams and toothpastes became widespread. Even men wanted to show off their well-cared skin and put themselves in the hands of La Toja and its new range of shaving products. Today, over 100 years later, the mineral salts of La Toja products continue to be extracted from the spring on the island. The Grand Hotel of La Toja is the oldest in Galicia. It was inaugurated in 1907 and designed by an architect from Orense named Daniel Vázquez Gulías. The 2-part building followed the structure of the great spas of the time, the French Vichy and the German Baden-Baden. It has 199 bedrooms, including 17 suites with sea views, 3 presidential suites and 1 royal suite, which makes it the largest hotel in Galicia in terms of accommodation capacity. The island and its Grand Hotel have been the summer retreat for important personalities for over a century. My father has also played a little part of the rich history of the hotel, since he and his orchestra performed there for many consecutive summers during his youth. The island of La Toja is also famous for its characteristic small chapel dedicated to Saint Caralampio, a 3rd century martyr who is associated with healing skin disease. Believers suffering from skin disease would travel to the church, ask for Saint Caralampio's healing intercession, and bathe in the island's famous waters. The church of San Caralampio was consecrated to the Virgin of Carmen, patron saint of seamen, and its original plan dates back to the 12th century. Some know it as the Chapel of San Caralampio, others as the Chapel of San Sebastian, and all as the Capilla de las Conchas, the Chapel of the Shells. The church walls are in fact covered with scallop shells that shimmer in the Spanish sunlight, giving off a bright pinkish white glimmer. It is not unusual in Galicia, a region home to the famous sacred city of Santiago de Compostela, for buildings to be covered with seashells. Seashells are an abundant natural resource easily found on the beaches of Spain's Atlantic coast. They also act as a natural insulator from marine humidity. Droplets of water evaporating from the ocean surface get stuck in the shell's wavy exterior and do not reach the church walls, and it goes without saying, shell-covered buildings look gorgeous. In addition to its protective function, the scallop shell has become a symbol of pilgrimage and a reminder of the power of faith, which is why it has been used in art and architecture in Camino de Santiago for centuries, guiding pilgrims along the way to Santiago. After some sightseeing in my old hometown of El Grove, we are heading to a town not far away to visit a dear family friend Lena and her husband Francisco. Lena is actually from Finland, but fell in love with her Galician husband who used to be a sailor and followed him here. Lena worked most of her life collecting seafood from the low tides around these areas. It was hard work walking in the cold waters, in sometimes extreme winds or scorching sun, collecting mollusks and shellfish. Me and my sister are welcomed with open arms as we sit down at the laid table to feast on delicious langoustines or giant prawns. They are ridiculously delicious, dipped in a little bit of mayonnaise.
Tsing. Ja tervetuloa.
Kiitos.
Toivottavasti saat useimmin käydä, mutta on sulla niin paljon työtä. Sun täytyy tulla niinku...
Poikien kanssa pitäisi tulla.
Huomenna.
That's so delicious, my love. So good. There's nothing better than this in the whole world. We are also served mouth-watering oven-baked scallops inside their shells with a crust of breadcrumbs, butter, garlic, parsley, and a little bit of bacon. It is funny to eat them and think back at the chapel we just saw in La Toja, covered with the same kind of shells. It is wonderful to spend time with such genuine and kind people, and I can't wait to come back and visit them soon again. Hei Dolena, kiitos!
Hei hei! Tervetuloa uudestaan!
Kiitos! Later in the evening, we are also visiting the widow of my uncle Paco that sadly passed away a few years ago. My aunt is living alone in this old stone house that was my grandfather's childhood home and where he was born in the year 1906. My uncle moved here as a young boy to take care of his old maid aunt, who was named Encarnacion, in English incarnation. Funny enough, everyone used to tell me I am the splitting image of her in her youth. Paco and his family took care of the aunt until her death, and they also have a vineyard that makes an Albarino wine called Caballero do Val. Today my uncle's younger son, my cousin Ruben, has taken over the family wine business. My uncle's wife is also a friend of the animals, as she has started feeding some cats in the neighborhood, so every morning and every evening they gather for their meal. The cats are castrated and look healthy, but still are quite wild. One is called Nicholas and Nico for short, just like my son, but they are all beautiful cats. We sit down for coffee, talking about the past and remembering Paco, who had such a hunger for life and was such a funny, social and beloved man. Me and my siblings used to think he looked a lot like Paul McCartney from the Beatles, and we were always happy to visit, since he often had dogs that we could pet. Once he had a parrot that liked nibbling on pork rind and disliked all men except Paco. I remember it could say the word Paco and could make a funny dance. In the evening we see the most beautiful sunset I can recall. The sky is lit up with bright oranges and reds. In the yard grows a very old vine that has been there even before my grandfather's birth. It looks majestic with all its extended branches and makes me think of my family tree with all the people belonging to it from the past to the present moment. This is the biggest I have ever seen. This was probably here when my grandfather was alive. Maybe it was a small tree then. Look at this incredible sunset. I love to visit grocery stores in different countries. There is so much interesting to look at, and I love comparing prices. Chestnuts, $4.70 for the kilo. Honeydew melons. Look at these dried figs, they are yummy. I think they sell it for Christmas time. All kind of dried fruit. Very typical cake here, tarta de Santiago, the Santiago cake. What is this? This looks delicious. Some kind of dried fruit with almonds or nuts, figs and stuff. It looks delicious. Here are also some figs and almonds. Bunny rabbits, $6.59 per kilo. And a lot of poultry here. And hams, a lot of hams and sausages. And cheeses. I really like this. Look at the size of these prawns. And the price is nice. Lovely mussels, and the whole pack is only $2.35. That's this amazing price. Yummy octopus tentacles here. We're gonna grab this for the evening food. We are warming the octopus tentacles in the frying pan with some olive oil because these were already cooked and have this reddish color. When they are raw, they are gray and slightly transparent. Now there is some olive oil here, and then you put some salt and of course some pepper, some red pepper, dried pepper. There is a sweet one and there is also a strong one. And a little of spicy pepper on top. Looks delicious, doesn't it? What a lovely little evening food we have here. I also have some mussels. Yummy mussels. On my last day in Spain, we go and continue packing up my sister's scrap room, although we are not able to completely finish it. We managed to clear a little bit here, but unfortunately we ran out of time, so we will still work on it for one more day, but then that's it for what I can help. Then Laura has to be carrying it up and down the stairs. It's 3 flights of stairs in the new place. It's good exercise.
Look at my impressive collection of embossing powders.
Laura is a scrapbook maker. Is it called a scrapbook maker?
No.
It's a scrapper. No, that's
I'm
not
a
correct.
card maker, actually. More than a scrapbooker. But I do enjoy scrapbooking as well.
In the evening we are invited to my cousin Fatima's and her partner Elias's place for some tapas and wine. But before that we take a stroll in the nearby seaside town of Sanxenxo. There's nobody on the beach today. Sun is setting soon and we are here in Sanxenxo. This is where my cousin lives. So we're gonna have dinner there today. There in the background you can see the Royal Yacht Club of Sanxenxo. And my sister and myself, we actually worked there in 2005 and it was Volvo Ocean Race. Laura was working for the Spanish team and I was working for Volvo Cars with the Swedish people as an interpreter and assistant and all kind of things. And that's actually probably the last time I was here in the winter time, because it was, I think, in November as well. So it brings back a little bit of memories. And as kids we would come to this beach and play, and back in that day there was a lot of old houses here by the beach, this kind of stone villas. But now you see there are more of these big houses, and there's a lot of tourism here in summertime. A lot of Spaniards come here in the summer. Is it called the Marbella of Galicia or something like that?
Yes.
Here is one of these old kind of houses that used to be here on the beachfront. There's a couple left, but not that many anymore. I think it's gonna be a really lovely sunset again. So calm today, no wind. Yesterday there was so much wind. We are a little early, so we decided to take a couple of strawberry daiquiris here, looking at the view outside. Okay, dear sister, our last evening together. That's right, I have to hold it with 2 hands, it's so heavy. Delicious strawberry daiquiri. Yummy. Fatima and Elias have a cozy attic apartment close to the beach of Sanxenxo. Fatima's big sister Esther is also there, and we spend a wonderful evening together with delicious food and wine with my beautiful cousins.
Cogen, ya verás, es ahumadito. ¿A ti te gusta el ahumado por el salmón?
Saliendo segundo.
¡Qué ricas las setas! ¡Qué ricas las setas! Lo que no era. Ches, mira qué buena pinta, recetita rosa. Eso, Luisa.
Con alioli casero.
Luisa,
Wow.
eso. Luisa, ¿quieres que le echaste el lomito un poquito de pimentón y aceite? ¿Le echo?
Si quieres.
¿Le queda muy
como
bien?
quieres.
¿Le voy a echar?
¿Qué bebéis?
Reparte pan por ahí. El escucho me enseña para ti.
¡Ay, qué rico!
Ah, que sí, pero lo de Laura. Pero tienes que comerlo recién hecha.
No, pero está así.
Hola,
no,
Luisa.
no.
Saludiños desde Sanxenxo.
bien.
Noviembre de 2024. Luisa.
La patata come,
Luisa.
Esta patata está riquísima.
Laura.
Tentacles para Nemo. Look Nemo, what I have here. Octopus tentacles.
14 de septiembre. Mima.
No.
No creció. Sí. Con frambuesitas, con frambuesitas.
Mima. Tengo que enseñar esto a Nemo. The next morning we wake up early so Laura can take me to the bus station where I can take the bus through Vigo to the Porto airport in Portugal. I will miss my bestie and sister, but luckily we will see each other again at Christmas. Since I find traveling alone extremely boring, the universe gifts me with a new friend, a woman from Sweden that lives in Pontevedra and is also traveling the exact same way as myself until Munich. It is funny how much faster time passes when you have someone to talk to, have coffee with, and go shopping with at the airport. And in almost no time I board the last plane to Helsinki. I hope you have enjoyed this little series of Galician videos, even though they're a bit different from my usual content from Siskola. Lots of hugs and take care. Bye bye!